Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back here with update number 2 for the Chessnut DIY piece recognition chip installation. So with that said, let me go ahead and explain to you what I got here so we can go right down the list here, and I'll show you how have the process development improved and what we're going to test out today. So first of all, as you see, I got a pick here. What I got this pick for, if you look at this piece here, let me hold it up and get it in the view for you. These pieces here came with a hole already in them because they had a weight in them. What I would say, if you can find pieces without weights, get those. Again, this is the weight here. I had to take the pick and I picked out this weight because that weight is usually glued in that kind of tight. So you can get these, are pretty inexpensive. I only paid like $1 for that set there. And I actually cracked the pawn already, so I can fix that, but still, this is why you want to go through all this process development so you can see what works best and what doesn't work best. So again, my idea, the best practice is to get pieces without weights if you can. If you get them with weights, try to find something that's like something that you can easily maneuver with your hand and have a good grip on it, and that way you can take your time to really pick around the weight and remove it from the chess piece. All right, so next thing I found out was that I took these calipers here and I measured this piece. This right here is a chip. So I measured the chip going this way, and I also measured it going this way. And again, these are not accurate measurements, what you see on the screen. I'm just showing you the example. And what I found out was that these are about 10 millimeters high, and I needed a 3/8 inch drill bit. So with that said, here's my 3/8 drill bit. And what I did was I put tape on the drill bit where the 10 millimeter mark is at. So that way, when I get down to, when I drill into the pawn, or the piece rather, and when I touch that tape, I know to stop drilling because that's deep as I need to go. All right, and now, let me talk about the jig. This is the jig here before we talk about why you might need a level. So the jig works like this. All right, so let me show you the jig close up. So this foam material, I had it, and so this is the kind of material, something like this I recommend, something that can contract and expand pretty easy. I cut some pieces, glued it to some little pieces of wood, and I cut out a small portion for the base, somewhere that the base can fit in. You can do it for the rest of the piece, but what I find is that if you do it for the base, you want the rest of the piece to be here, so when it gets smashed into it, it'll have a tight grip on it. And you want to make a jig like this for two reasons. First of all, you want to just not, because you got to squeeze the piece tight enough so it won't move when it's being drilled into. So you want something that will cause it not to be squeezed, that will damage the piece, but also squeeze it hard enough to where the drill can drill into it without spinning the pawn or the piece as well. So how this rig works is this right here. This is just going to represent, because if you've seen my first video, and I'll put a link to that up in the top right, if you want to go see that. I have a woodworking table, if you would, that you can wind together and clamp wood in it. This right here is just going to represent that table, so you can just get the idea how this jig works. All right, so first of all, you take the pawn or the piece and you put it in there relatively level. And again, this does not have to be perfect. Long as it's within reasonable, because again, you're not going to have to be 100% accurate when you drill down into this. As long as you are not super off, you should be fine. So first of all, you're going to clamp the pieces together like this. So to make this easier, what you do is you take a piece of tape like so. It's a nice piece of painter's tape, by the way. I think that makes the most sense because it's low residue. And just put that piece of tape right across there to hold the pawn in place. So that'll just be like a little assistant to you to hold that pawn in place like so. Now you take the other side of the jig, which is cut out just the same, around the base. You're going to put them together like so. And again, this is going to be going inside of a table, and this clamp here is just going to represent the table that's going to clamp down on it. So you're going to put this clamp around here. Let me get this close enough so I can actually get this started here. So I can center it. center that on that side, center this one on this side so you can get a nice grip on it. And then you just basically you just squeeze it together. You see how that's going together around the pawn. Now, as you see, the pawn is nicely tucked in there. It will not move. It's very, very stable. The piece is protected by the foam. And why you want to level is that you want to make sure that the piece is level as possible when you set it down in the device that's going to hold it still while you're drilling. So basically, once you set this down, just imagine it's in the clamp inside the table, and you can set this on right here on it, and then you can check if it's level or not. And then if it's not level, you can just adjust this here a bit until you get it level when it's on the table. So again, you want it as level as possible. It does not have to be 100%, just so long as it is level within, I'll say within 5%, you're probably good to go. So that's the jig. Now we're going to do, I'm going to take this out. And what I want to show you is that, you saw how that popped off. So it had a lot of pressure on this. So that's why you want something foam like this that's smooth. And let's take a look at the piece. And I want to show you that why, again, that it doesn't cause any damage. And because, again, you can get this type of foam probably at a packing store. It just so happened came with an item that I had purchased from somewhere. So I just used it. And again, if you look at the pawn, no damage to the pawn. I mean, I don't know how well you can see that, but there's no damage to the pawn. And that's it. Everything looks nice. So that said, we're going to go ahead outside and we're going to put this jig to the test and see how it goes. All right, guys, we're outside now. I have the jig set up. So let me explain what I got here. This is the drill buddy. That's going to be somewhat like a drill press. It's not a drill press, obviously, but it gives sort of an effect of being able to come straight down and measure, whatever depth you want to come to. I have the drill bit installed with the tape on it. I have the drill bit. I have the drill buddy clamp down. Here's a clamp here. Here's a clamp here, so it'll be stable. And also, you see the jig right here between the table, and I have used these handles right here to kind of tighten this part of the table up to hold this jig in place. So with that said, this is right here is going to be exciting. So let's go ahead and get right to business and see. This right here is the prototype or the process development. Whenever you make a process, you want to do practice runs and validation runs. That's like in the real world. But here we're just going to do a practice and then practice or two. And if everything works out, we're going to move forward. So let's just see how it goes. Let me put the drill up here. Let me come down close. All right, let's see how it goes. Everybody ready? Here it is. All right. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Let's get I got some compressed air here, and let's blow that out. All right, let's see what we got here. First of all, before we actually take the thing out of the jig, let me go get the chip and put the chip in there and see will it fit properly. Because again, that's a very important part to the process to make sure that the chip will actually fit. And so here it is. Let's put this chip in here. Okay, the chip is a fit, but it might be somewhat snug. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I think, let's see. Okay, that's a bit snug. So maybe it need to be slightly bigger than 3/8. Or maybe I need to go a bit deeper. I'm not sure yet. So let's try it again, because again, this thing did jump a little bit. Maybe just let me tighten it just a little bit here. Okay, that's a little bit tighter. Okay, let's try a little bit more here. All right, let's go down into it. Oh, that actually moved it a little bit. Well, that doesn't matter if it did. That's okay. Okay, let's get us some compressed air. I'm gonna blow this out. All right, so you get the piece. Okay, I think it's not quite deep enough, so I'm gonna go a little bit deeper here. So maybe I was a little bit off on the depth. But I think we might be pretty close here to getting it to saddle in there correctly. Let me take that out. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper then. Let's see, can we? Because again, this is all part of the process development here. Okay, let's blow that out. A little bit more compressed air here. Okay, see what we got. Okay, that fits like right. It's just a little bit further to go. Only thing I'm worried about now is drilling too deep into this pawn, so I'm gonna get to the middle section of the pawn and actually, you know, affecting the actual pawn itself, the integrity. So we'll see about that. But anyway, this is a cheap set. That's exactly why I bought this set. So to be a practice, so we can see what we got here. Okay. Let's go a little bit deeper here. We don't want to go too deep. Just a little bit deeper here. Make sure. Okay. Okay. Got a little bit more compressed air here. See what we got. I think I may have, yeah, I actually cut through the pawn. Yep. Yeah, that's what I was worrying about. That's what I was worrying about. I actually cut through the pawn. The pawn is just too, these pawns here. So in other words, it's going to be really hard to find pieces. See, that will fit perfectly now. So let's take this out of the jig and at least look at it. So that way we can see what we got here. Okay, take that off. Take that off. So now let's remove this. Okay, let's set this down. So let's just undo this. It did not go exactly according to plan, but you got to start somewhere, and this is how I'm starting with this. And I think it could have been that I was off center here, so let's just take a look and see what we got. Yeah, see if you look at that, see if I can get that into focus. See how it barely came outside. So what it is that these pieces are just too small. See, the piece would be nice and flush in there. You see that? Nice and flush. So if you got to get the right size, the pawns with the right size middle portion right here. Because again, let me get a little screwdriver here so I can do some pointing here. So as we see from here down, it barely came out the edge. So again, that if you whatever diameter this is, that's the diameter. You need something bigger than that, or you need some very specialized you know, pieces like 3D pieces made where you can be incredibly precise. I'm going to still try this again. Again, I'm going to rework my process method here a little bit, but as it stands, the pieces that I got, they will fit nice and flush into that. If you look at it, that's pretty nice. It's nice and flush right in there. I mean, I could, and then once you put the felt over top of that, that would be fantastic, just like that. So with that said, I'm going to continue working on my process here. I'm also going to look for other pieces to see what I can find. If you guys find some other pieces that have a diameter well, you may, I'll measure it at some point, put it in the description, but I'll figure that out. And if you guys see some pieces you think might work, just please let me know, put them in the description. But with that said, this is going to conclude part 2, update 2 of this process development. Obviously, there's going to be more updates. The contest goes all the way to January, I believe the 25th of next year. So there's plenty of time to work this out, to find the appropriate pieces so we can make some really good DIY Chessnut Air pieces. With that said, you guys take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.